Dr. Jazz. Dr. Jazz.
If you think about it, like you guys already created so much history that it's like, you know.
I don't know, man. It's just the time flies, you know. All of a sudden you realize, wow, that was 28 years ago. You know, that's insane, you know.
For instance, yeah. But no, I just like to walk through some of the stuff you did and
sure.
And you know, about your creative process and all that. And I still remember when you gave me this album.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I think this was on my playlist and my CD player for half a year, like a Bible or something, like completely blew up.
No.
But
thanks for the support, man. Thanks for listening.
Oh no, yeah, it's incredible what you did. Yeah, I mean, I have some questions about it actually. But
yeah, please.
But I just want to ask you first. I checked out this record you guys did with Lehman and Randy Brecker, Marc Copland, and Joey Berne. This was like like during the lockdown project or something, because I saw you did concerts already last year, or
yeah. Well, it wasn't. That band was formed, I guess, about a year ago, perhaps a little prior to that. I'm not great on perspective that way, but you know, I think Marc and Joey and I wanted to keep our playing relationship going from John Abercrombie's quartet. And I think we developed a real rapport and felt like we were on the verge of something really special. And then John got sick, and you know, so I think you just said the three of us really enjoy playing with each other and each other as people. So we just wanted to keep it going. And Marc has a long-standing relationship with Randy. They went to high school together. And
oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're like brothers, you know. And I think they were looking for an opportunity to do something. And also Dave, because we also had a quintet with John Abercrombie called Contact.
Oh yeah,
that was
exactly.
With Billy Hart and I and Marc and Dave and who else was in that? Oh, John Abercrombie.
Yeah, exactly.
So John is kind of like the unifying link, and even though he's not there, so it's so it's kind of cool, and you know, it's a pretty egoless thing. We just show up. I think at this point in our lives, we just want to have an interesting conversation, you know.
Yeah.
And that's good enough. You know, you don't need to prove that you got the muscle and the brawn to do it. So you just get right to the interesting conversation. And so I love to play that way. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's totally democratic. Everybody brings tunes. Marc's just kind of making it happen as far as creating.
Yeah.
You know, you always have to have some guy that's willing
like
to do the
pushing
extra
it.
effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw some footage you guys did like last year in Germany, like Eberswald or something, and it's so much fun to see you guys. You know, it's always so much fun to see you and Joey actually to play, because it's just like you know, I talked like with Dave Allen, the guitarist, and you know, no matter what music you guys play, it's so much fun. You know, you're playing like his tricky stuff, and you just see you like there and Joey like, you know. I love this.
I mean, you know, the reason, I don't know, I can't speak for other cats, but you know, the beauty of being a musician is you get to do what you love to do. So, you know, I try not to get too specific, like just like I don't need to do any specific thing. I just want to do it with cats at a high level if we can, and just feel the joy of it. So I try never to lose that, you know. And if something is so complicated and it's freaking me out, I try to make it fun for myself, because I still want to have fun, and so I think that's what makes it fun for the listeners if you're enjoying it. So you know,
definitely, yeah. But I wanted to ask you about this new one. You also wrote one tune, this Figment, and is this a new one? Because it kind of sounds like for the quintet, almost like it's or it's like your style of writing, maybe that. I kind of like listened to it and I was like, oh, that's like a Drew tune, you know, like this.
Oh yeah, I guess, man. I mean, I'm trying not to write the same things over and over again, but maybe it's
No, but you know, there's like close intervallic thingies going, like, and stuff like that. That's
yeah. I guess. I mean, I guess I'm busted. You know, I just write it the way I'm hearing it at the time. But it's really just trying to finish an idea, and that's kind of what comes out. So I try to let the tunes write themselves if I can, but you know, I mean, I know it's still making me making the decisions on the micro scale, so I guess it winds up sounding like the same.
no, it's not. You know, not the same. It's like, you know, like it's like when you hear a tune Abercrombie wrote. It was like,
Yeah,
you know, it was like, yeah, well, shit, that's John Abercrombie. You know, like.
I know, it's like no one else could have possibly written it when he writes. These
Yeah,
things.
exactly. Or, you know, Schofield or whoever, like Tim Berne. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
They're not complicated, but they're so them that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh yeah, it's like their speaking voice you're hearing just kind of fleshed out with instruments or something. You know, it's
Yeah.
because John's things, they weren't hard, but they weren't easy either, and they were just so idiosyncratically a vibe that you know. Yeah, I can't imagine anyone else even trying to write tunes in that style because it's just.
Yeah. I mean, for me, he's like, you know, he's up there as far regarding guitar players. It's like him.
Yeah.
And Bill Frisell. Okay, I'm a huge fan. And
yeah.
Okay, Mark Ducray, like, and especially like let's say John Abercrombie. For me, still he's like one of the most underrated guitarists ever.
Yeah. But he's a player's player, and all those cats are. You know, they're all fantastic, really for the same reason that they're playing from their sheer love of music and just high craft.
Yeah.
You know, they know their shit.
Yeah.
And they've dug deep into the micro genre they're living in to just say, how can I say what I want to say through this avenue? And they're just, you know, they're masters of that. So, you know.
But I remember you told me that long time ago, actually, when we played together, that you played guitar as a teenager, right?
I did, yeah.
And how did it feel for you, like when John invited? How did this invitation happen to his band, and how was that for you? I mean, like, how did you guys kind of hook up together? I mean,
I think originally, well, John always lived upstate, at least for the time that I've been in New York. But not all the way up, like kind of in Putnam County, right near where I live now and have. And, you know, I think Marc Copland was the common link again, because I go back with Marc till when I was like 19, you know.
Yeah.
1981 or something.
Wow.
But, and Marc is longtime friends with John as well. They played in Chico Hamilton's quartet together, and like.
Wow, I didn't know that. I know they did a lot of duos, but.
Yeah, they did some pretty wild records too. I think they were both in the band Friends too. I think, which is kind of like an electronic record where Marc plays electric saxophone, and Abercrombie's just really going for it. So they're longtime friends and bandmates actually too. So. So I think it's just, you know, because the relationships start to cross pollinate. We want to get together at the house and play, and we would do that, you know. And I love doing it. And I think, you know, John just played from the sheer joy of playing. Like he would have been happy, never leaving the house ever again. Just come on over to the house. We'll play in the basement. Just play whatever we want, and like playing even standards, really standards, but in the most dangerous fashion, just for the sheer joy of like exploration and seeing if we could make each other laugh and whatever. So, you know, he kept it really pure that way, I think. So that's why, you know, I think he could have cared less about the commercial aspects of music. You know, it's like, I remember him playing at Birdland with like a black sweatshirt, a t-shirt, but not like a crisp t-shirt, just like totally, and like no socks. And he's sitting at like with people dining in the front row there, but he could have cared less, man. He's just there to play, and that's all. And you know, so I try to learn from that. You
know, how was he like as a band leader? I mean, like
he was just wanted to play. You know, he would call the tunes, but there was never anything said at all about how we want to play something.
Oh wow.
You know? And I think Marc and he really developed an interesting way of playing unison lines and things together. So. It's really anticipatory and, you know, but just effortless too. Like, you know, I guess they've hung out so much because they did a lot of playing, I think, with Jack in those loft scene in New York in the early 70s too. So
that's amazing.
They were playing like endless sessions, like 12-hour marathons. And yeah, so that joy of playing is still it gets baked in, even if when you're older, you know, and you can't do that, but you can still bring it for as long as you need to, you know.
Yeah.
But he never said anything.
So basically, when you did those albums, like 39 Steps and all that, like he just brought the tunes and that was it, like. And
well, no, he would, you know, we played fairly regularly at sessions at his place, you know.
Okay.
And not with really an agenda, but we'll play some tunes. Here's something I'm working on, and we do that, and we would just start to you know, play them in. So he would kind of get a sense of how, and we helped, I guess, in the formation a little bit, but you know, he's pretty loose, you know, but it was really just us trying to find a way to express his tunes that felt right. They are a little bit, the phrasing is a little odd, and, you know, stuff is, you know, when you feel like you're kind of a sculptor with a piece of granite, you know, you're getting close to it, but it's not quite there yet. So, you know, I have the regrets in some records where you play something and you play it pretty well, but when you go and continue to play it after that, it's hard to go back and listen to a recorded version because it feels so like stiff and conservative, maybe even though the craft of it might be okay. And you know, so I kind of regret that. So it's nice to play things in before you actually record them too. Yeah, and I think Marc and he were always working on keeping that hook up duo-wise that translates into the way the things unfolded. And those guys have a really great sense of like, I wouldn't say call it drama, but just presentation about just the right way to, you know, and little things like that they change within the heads, even if you repeat them, that they're not quite the same, and just a really elegant kind of middle ground way of doing that you know, is pretty cool. So so it's like a lot of subtle pleasures that, you know, people may not even notice externally, but are just feel really right on the inside, you know.
No, but you can feel it with that band. I mean, like maybe it's me because, you know, I've been following his playing so much, and it's just like, you know, it's just like water. You guys, like, it goes, and it's so smooth. Like everything, each one of you actually, what you play, like in his quartet, like it's not overdoing it. It serves the music. I don't know if that makes sense what I'm saying, but it's, you know, it's just like you put on the record, and it's like, wow.
Well, yeah, but that's the challenge of the playing. Actually, is like, how can we reconnect energy tonight in a way that's kind of not what we have been doing, and everybody's pretty restless, but not so that it just flies apart totally. But everyone's pretty daring within a certain parameter. You know, it's not gonna totally fall apart. Although we did do some free playing, but that really wasn't the band what it was about so much. Almost like a late Beatles approach to progressive kind of, you know, like, I don't know.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, definitely. But I just wanted to go back to this one, to the quintet. Like, is this quintet kind of still working, or like, are you still writing new music for this band, or?
Well, I mean, we haven't done anything, and that's totally on me. But I think the last tour we did was in early 2014.
Okay.
And then unfortunately my wife, Brooke, became ill, and so I had to spend more time at home, just care for her. And so that's the last I've done as a leader as far as recording. And, you know, I feel like, you know, maybe it's old school or maybe it's stupid or of me, but I feel like it's not fair to engage cats to put music together without at least the goal down the road of recording sometime soon. And I just didn't have the energy. I'm getting back to the place now where I hope to do something. I'd either like to get those guys together again. I think they're all still into it. Yeah. And I would love it, although Ralph lives in Switzerland now for the time being.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Oh, wow.
So that cuts it back. But either that, or I would like to also maybe even put I had a band earlier on called Jagged Sky. That
I wanted to ask you about. I love that, man.
I'm excited about that, and I continue to play with Kenny with Sylvie Courvoisier.
Oh yeah, Courvoisier, yeah.
But I see Ben every once in a while, you know, and he said he would be into it, which I'm shocked. But I would love to put those guys together again. If I can get Dave Binney to come out from LA, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So I hope to be in touch with those guys about that too. So either that group or the quintet. I am feeling the pull to try and want to start doing something again. And I've continued to write pieces, but not so much with any specific thing in mind. They're really just things, and you know, I try to flesh them out a little bit in my mind. So if there is mouths to feed notes to, then you know, I'll have some inkling of what I want it to be. So I've continued to write, but I've been doing a lot of electronic stuff, and also and I have this Euro rack module over here that I've been working with.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Which has been very exciting for me, actually. And so doing some things with solo bass and that, recording, and just trying to use the fact that we're hunkered down still to just really delve deeper, and you know, studying some harmony from Messiaen and trying to apply it in the way I'm hearing it, just to expand some my vertical palette a little bit, you know.
No, but you mentioned Jagged Sky, like with Binney, Monder, and Caine, and like, what was this? This was your first kind of band as a leader. I mean, you did these guys joint venture. I mean, I remember once in a store, these CDs were like in New York. I found, you know, like I was searching like, and I found like in those like kind of sales sections, I was like, seriously, groups immediately. And
hey, people heard it and they didn't like it, so they brought it back. Get a little.
But you know, Joint Venture was kind of like your first co-leader band, like. But the Jagged Sky was you're really like as a leader, right?
Yeah, although I did have when I lived in Baltimore, I played a lot with some cats from DC, Dave Caine and Michael Smith and Glenn Cashman. And we had a band called Tekka, and it was basically my tunes, and Dave wrote a couple things. And so, and we did do a recording. It's a short one, but I don't think I have it available for sale, but someone does. Caine, the pianist, it has it for sale. If you're interested. But anyway, so there was that band, and then the first band I was part of, like, that was a cooperative joint venture. So
definitely.
But Phil Haynes really was the driving force behind getting us doing whatever we did, because Phil is like that. God bless him. He drove this scene in a certain way in the 80s, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just, you know, Ellery and he were playing quite a bit duo, and then somehow I got folded into that, and so we were doing some trio playing, just sessioning and exploring things. And because Ellery was becoming more and more himself, and he really wanted to explore some wild ideas, and so that was fun. And then I think Phil knew Paul Smoker he was his professor in Iowa, I think, at college, and he was in town for a minute, and he just thought it would be cool for us to play together, and I think Paul and Ellery really hit it off as far as having
it's right there
playing, and then it turned into a band, you know, and everybody started writing for it, and and it was fun. It was just kind of put it together, usually in really focused periods, because Paul lived up he was either in Iowa or he might have been in Rochester at the time already, and so we always had to do things like, you know, write, learn, record, you know, and, you know, over like a 4-day period or something. It was kind of insane, really, how we would do that. But, and so those records turned out well. We did a couple European dates, but not too much.
Because you actually got Enja. It was on Enja, which was...
It was on Enja, yeah.
Yeah.
We had 3 records on Enja, yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
One on vinyl, too.
Ah, really?
I love being on vinyl, old vinyl, yeah.
No, Enja was quite big, actually, right? In the early 90s, late 80s. So it's quite a good one, yeah.
Yeah, and it was great. That was my first time working with like a great engineer like David Baker, who was amazing, and he was famous. Well, at least he had a reputation amongst people I knew for really recording the bass well. So I was very excited to work with him for the first time, and it was fun. You know,
and
really cool.
How did you then decide to do like the Heyday date, like you know, that album, which for me is like that groove, the when it starts, like the second song, I think that's incredible. I still sing it with Monder, like those voicings, like ding. Like But
Yeah.
how did you get that band together? Like, how did you
Originally?
decide for those three guys?
Huh. I don't know. Let's. Of course, I had known Ben. We had become friends in the mid '80s. You know, like when I lived in New York the first time around,
Mhm.
and yeah, and so I knew about Ben, and I wanted to do something with him really because that was kind of the core relationship there. You know.
And you played on
And
his trio album, right? Also.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
exactly.
we did a lot of trio playing.
Yeah.
We had a trio with Tom Rainey for a while. That was really fun.
Really, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, well, the first time I played with Tom was a Ben Monder demo session. He just wanted to record some tunes, and he wanted to do it with Tom and I. So
Wow.
that's where Tom and I met. Was on Ben's demo session. I think it's a cassette. I don't think it ever became a record, but it's pretty cool.
Oh. Wow.
And so yeah, and of course I knew what Ben was capable of with just basically, you know.
Anything.
And I just love the idea of the guitar, but playing close voice. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really rich sounds, and then switch to a screaming kind of lead. I just love the variety that
Yeah, he's incredible.
you have. But I'm trying to remember how I first found out about Dave. I mean, Ben might have recommended Dave to me. I mean, because I knew I wanted to play with. I was just hearing like an alto sound with the guitar. I thought that would be a cool sound.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I heard somehow whenever I heard Dave, it was like, oh my God, that guy's incredible. You know, he's a great writer too. So
He's amazing. Yeah.
yeah, and he was somehow into it. So it's almost too easy for him, man. I mean, he would read the hardest shit so it's like it's hard to get him to rehearse because so good he didn't really have to. You know, it's like he was humoring. I just felt like he was humoring me by doing it. But he's totally into it, and he's great. What a great musician.
Yeah.
And I think then Dave told me about Kenny, or somehow Kenny got
because
it.
they played together. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kenny was just gotten to New York, and yeah, that was totally great too. You know, he just brought a cool thing to it. You know,
Yeah.
California meets soul meets jazz. It
Yeah.
just felt really, really hip. So yeah, so we did a lot of rehearsing and not enough gigs, and we made a record, and I just couldn't get over to Europe. I think it was a little too early for us. Like nobody really knew any of us or just maybe as individuals, but not that band. And so I didn't know how to get us to work. So it kind of died on the vine, unfortunately. And, you know, so one of my great regrets. So I'd like to do more because I think compositionally even better now too. It wasn't fair to just write some cool heads and then just say, here, you guys flesh it out for the next 8 minutes and make it sound compositional. So I think I could do better by them now, you know, so.
No, but I wanted to ask you that, like, how you write, like, music, because that's the idea for me, where especially when I listen to the quintet, then first with Uri and then with Craig, like, you kind of have this idea of combining, like, improvisation and written out stuff, right? And I still remember when we had the tour that you were then, I think, preparing already the irrational numbers, arranging stuff and all that, and I just wanted to ask you, like, how do you write like this complex long tune? Like, do you first like sketch out the idea of how you want to build it together, or how is your process of making a tune? Let's say, speaking of the quintet, for instance.
Well, I mean, sometimes I think for me, it's kind of inspiring to not even think in specifically musical terms sometimes as far as the real genesis of an idea. So sometimes, and I think also being a little bit irreverent, like one of those tunes, part of it is really about, oh, here's something that's kind of cool, and here's also something that's kind of cool. I have no idea if they even belong together, but I'm going to put them on top of each other, and then I'm going to try and just shape it a little bit from that point until it's something that I can, or maybe I'll love it if it's just like that. But and so I think, what tune is that? That's there's a tune on there called Low Slung, High Strung. Is that right? High Strung, Low Slung. I don't know. It's like
Low Slung, High Strung. Yeah. This one. Yeah. Yeah.
It's embarrassing. And there's a a faster section where there's a bass line and there's a line that goes over the top of it, and they were just written independent of each other, and I just wanted to see what the effect would be, and if more to see if the listener's mind can make some sense out of it, could that possibly sound intentional, whatever. And so it's just an experiment really, and just seeing how people react to something as well. Try it. And it's not like born of a need to really just be unique. I'm not really interested in that, but it's just like, well, what would that be like if I did that, and or there's a groove in there that's just offset by a 16th note and just two voices, and it doesn't even really sound like that's what that is, and it's not even that interesting, but it's just a thought, and it's an artificial thought, it's like a mathematical thought.
Definitely,
but but it's fun, I think, to think of music in different ways, and or cinematic ways or whatever, and that leads to different results, or just a different way of thinking that'll just keep it fresh for you as the composer, and hopefully for the listener. It's like, it's more just about you want to follow me here, like, are you willing to follow me, and I'll just try to make it interesting for you on the way, and that's really just trying to hold the attention and give the listener an interesting experience. So that's kind of how I think about whatever the arranging is. Although I don't know, man, I think the real key is just getting the cats in your band of a compositional mindset. Like, they're already great musicians, and part of what makes them great musicians and great improvisers is that they see the big picture, and they know how to get from point A to point B and all that, and are open to outside influence. And so if you get cats like that, then you hopefully just give them something that they can work with, just something that's not absolute pure shit that they can say, oh, I can work with this, and then let them just let them loose. And but playing bass in that kind of situation can be interesting and challenging also. Like, sometimes you wish you could seize more control specifically, but then you find another way to kind of hold it together, especially if the guys really want to push against it. And it can be fun to just almost have it be like a literal physical battle where, and you just explore the tension that's created, and I love to play with cats like that, where, you can do the most fucked up thing, and it's really going to be okay, because everybody has a sense of humor and exploration. And so it's all open, and you never have to say anything about anything. And I think that's the kind of band I want to be in myself, where it's really democratic, and the cats have a chance to learn the music well enough that they can really feel free to totally make it their own. I think that's the best feeling as a band leader, is like everybody feels like it's their band, or the band they really have a stake in, and that's the deepest thing, I think.
You seem to leave so much, so much. When I listen to these albums, it's so organic.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Well, I do think about that,
Oh, I don't know. That's, for me, it's like this clay that's kind of forming, and it's going somewhere. Especially let's say you and Tom as a rhythm section. That's incredible.
He's the master, man. He is the master orchestrator. I mean, I would love. I mean, I'm not that self-reflective and like dig me, But if I was more that way, I would maybe put out alternate takes of some of these records, because just to hear Tom, the variety of how he approaches tunes, it's amazing. There will be one performance will bear no resemblance to the last one, but it's all like perfect somehow. So I don't know, man.
He's
how well he improvises, composed like things. It's really amazing.
I talked about with him also about that when we had like this talk, and I love how he also like sticks. He can start an improv just with a snare drum, and he'll stick to it for the next 1 minute, and it's just like, damn, I don't have to have the courage to do something that you're just like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. And
but I mean, that's just kind of accepting life as it is. It's like, well, that just happened, and now what's going to happen? And but it's not, I guess you can perceive it as confidence, but it's really just actually knowing that it doesn't really matter anyway. So what?
Yeah.
So you're really just asking yourself, what's next? You know,
Yeah.
what do I do next?
Yeah.
You know, like I just did that. All right, now I'm facing this direction, and like, all right.
Yeah.
And it's really that it can be that simple. You just try and make the steps, the scenery along the steps you take, be interesting enough to hold someone else's interest for a minute. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or just contribute to the bigger interest. You know, which is really what we're trying to do. I mean, I'm trying to slay my ego and just play from almost like I'm not even playing, which always enables me to feel better about my own playing when I realize it's not me playing. I think it sounds better than when I know it's me playing. That makes any sense. But anyway, so yeah.
No, but I wanted to ask you about your writing process. You know, it's like, do you write like on hand, or do you write in programs or on piano? Because like, how did you write like all those, or just without any instruments, like those voicings that like Ralph and Tim play many times, like minor seconds, and you're like going there, and like, how did you write that? How do you write that? Like just through memory, or looking, or do you help yourself with an instrument, or?
Oh, well, some of that. Oftentimes things evolve with the outer voice things that I write. I try not to play chord progressions and then create things over top of it. I like to it's more like individual voice things. There could be 2 or 3 of them going on, and I guess the harmony thing, I just was exploring that, you know, like how do the close intervallic things sound?
Yeah.
Just as an effect. It's more like just spice or coloration of the line. I didn't want it to just be all parallel intervallic things or all scalar. So yeah, just looking for another type of interior voice that has its own architecture and is also really kind of interesting, but kind of you know, it's like a background vocal in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
I think, or more of an almost duet, but not quite. I don't know. Yeah, but I was just exploring that at the time. You know.
No, I loved it because it's so cool, you know, especially with the quintet. It's just like the lines, and then then you
those guys put the extra,
sorry.
Well, Tim and Ralph put some extra tartness on some of those intervals. When I hear them now, it's just like, ooh, that's, you know, because Ralph can have a kind of a lean sound on the trumpet as far as like it's got a certain pointedness to it, and Tim, but yeah, it's interesting. It doesn't sound as offensive as if you're on the piano. It's different effect, you know. But
that's
definitely just an energy, you know.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you one thing about, like, you played pedal steel guitar on Spin and Drift also, right? I listened to that song Aquamarine like a couple of times because I love it, man. Do you still play that? Or?
No, I haven't done that. I remember when I think that was for Premonition Records. Mike Friedman, he's the guy that runs Premonition. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Fine drummer as well. He when he heard that song, he said, "Man, that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard." He dug it, but it was just so weird. And I think at the time we were actually trying to get Blue Note to promote that record. I mean, somehow I did some kind of deal with them, and I'm not sure what the specifics were. But I think that was the one where they said, "No, man, we can't." Somehow they heard that cut and they just said, "No way, man, that's not good luck with that," I think is what they said.
Well, I loved it, man. That's so cool.
But it's a pretty weird tune. I mean, you know, I knew like 3 voicings on the pedal steel, and
still, it's so cool.
And so I used them in a parallel fashion, and that's the depth of my knowledge of that. Very difficult, but it's a beautiful instrument, man. But
yeah,
I think this old dog is gonna have to wait for the next lifetime to master that new trick.
But guitar, you still play sometimes, or?
I have the pedal steel here. Sometimes I play it. I also have some regular guitars.
Yeah, I mean, a regular guitar, you still play? Like?
Very little. I mean, not really with a pick. I just do like a kind of thumb style type of thing.
Oh, okay, that's so cool.
But not. I mean, I'm not really a guitarist. It's a different callus and even different fingernail structure, and it's really, it's hard to go back from bass back to guitar. I think.
Yeah.
I think the other way. Well, that's hard too. I don't know.
I think the function of the instrument already, like in the band.
But I think getting when I had Jagged Sky, I would try and just make sure that the things I wanted to write were possible, given Ben's gigantic pause too. But and that helped me, and that got me back into kind of just thinking on the guitar a little bit as well. So I've actually written some songs on the guitar.
Oh, really?
I haven't recorded them yet, but I mean they were conceived on the guitar, which is kind of interesting to make the choices that way. It was kind of fun,
Yeah, I love that. I started learning piano, like a little time, and it completely like changes your perspective, because I started to notice like all of the songs I've written, it's like, wow, that sounds the same, it's the same voicing, and I was like, okay, I need to screw up my brain a little and started something else. And then you play a fourth or a fifth on a piano, and for me, at least, for a piano player, it's nothing, but for me, it's like, wow, man, that's. And something else comes, like a composer out of it. So that's a good.
I mean, they call it the king of instruments, and for a reason. I mean, it's like it just makes it all visible to you.
Yeah,
I guess it's really what it is. Because I know, like John Abercrombie he wrote all of his tunes at the piano.
Really, I didn't know that.
I think so. I mean, the ones that we were doing at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he was a good jazz pianist also, I think. I think what he appreciated, I'm sure you feel the same way as a guitarist, he likes to feel the full expansion of his idea, just tweak specifics and things like that. And with the guitar, you have to choose what are you going to take and what are you going to leave out, kind of, in a way.
Exactly. Yeah. On piano it's different. I love that.
Yeah, so I think he appreciated that, and so I think he wrote mostly at the piano.
Oh, wow, interesting.
And then just find a way to make it speak on the guitar after the fact. I could be wrong. I mean, there are probably many things that he wrote on the guitar too. But
if I just go back, since we're talking about guitar, like who were like the bass guys that got you excited? I mean, like when I listen to you, I hear like like you have this amazing sound, like your sound is incredible, and even when we play it, it's like everything you play is just like boom there. I don't know who are like your heroes. I mean, I hear like Gary Peacock or Scott LaFar, maybe sometimes, like how you approach the music, but like who got you excited into jazz? Like,
well, originally, I was into like Eddie Gomez, because he was doing everything at the time. Like I became aware of jazz in like 1975 or something like that.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
And and started dabbling with the acoustic bass. And I guess if you're interested in coming from the guitar, I was more interested in what the bass could do melodically than the functionality, because that's where I came from. And so Eddie was very soloistic, and he was on everybody's records, so I got into his thing. And
I didn't know that.
And I felt like I learned to play, and we got into playing piano trio quite a bit in Baltimore, but then I was also starting to get a lot of flack for the way I played, because it's like being vilified for my sound, and also the time thing, which I think wasn't bad, but it was like kind of like paralyzed from the waist down, sort of, as far as it just didn't feel great. So I tried to obsess over that, get my time together. But so then my focus switched to more like Ron Carter, and I became a big fan of like Tommy Potter from those early Charlie Parker records.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Just dug his beat, and Buster Williams.
Yeah.
Those kind of guys. Yeah, to play their asses off.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah.
Buster at the time, like with this, he had a band called Sphere for a moment there with Ken Karen and I think Ben Riley.
Ben Riley. Yeah.
Wow. And and of course Gary became a huge influence, he borrowed my bass once for a gig in Washington D.C.
Really?
Marc brought him in to play trio in D.C. and he needed a bass because he couldn't fly with his, and so I loaned him mine, and then I got to hear him. I mean, it's one thing to be blown away by somebody at close range, because the one step down DC was a tiny club. You could literally sit like right in the curve of the piano, and just over that is the bass, and then Baby Grand, and a great club. And Gary played his ass off. I'd never heard bass played like that in my life, and it was my bass he was playing that I know he just got his hands on like 3 hours beforehand.
Yeah.
So just like, oh my God. So it's kind of like you just get your world blown apart about what is possible, and so then it was the long, hard road of trying to get all that together, if you could, all the knowledge and the spatial openness and the funkiness and the sound and all that, and the attitude, really. And so that was, I got enthralled with that kind of attitude of playing.
Yeah.
And then later on, I just got into Charlie Hayden, a little bit after that, and Miroslav Vitus, just for pure attitude also, and just great bassist, and just supreme bearing, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
And I love his time feel too. He's a nasty quarter note, and and I respect, of course, Dave Holland. He's a great player as well, and I checked out Mingus, but not to the depth that other people have. I think when you get compared to those guys, it's just because you play the same instrument and you have a band, and it's kind of like, oh,
it's funny, right? Yeah,
like Mingus. It's like, I mean, I love his thing too, but
a different aesthetic, I guess.
Real influence.
Yeah. But
I like the cinematic scope of his things, where he could kind of go anywhere he wanted to go. And that was kind of cool. He kind of blazed the trail on that, I think.
Yeah, but you mentioned through the 80s. Like, I think you came to New York in the 80s, right?
I did, yeah.
And then you started playing already with Fred, or that was later with Fred Hersch?
I met Fred then. I was there from like 84 to 87, I think.
Yeah. And how was this beginning period for you when you came to New York, like as a new cat?
Well, I was doing a master's degree at Manhattan School of Music. They gave us it was the first year of their jazz program, and they had free scholarships. So they said, if you come and play in the big band, we'll pay your tuition and you'll be out in 1 year. And that was just too good to pass up. So I did that, and so I was mostly in school that first year, but then made some friendships and started playing with people, and somehow a saxophonist named Mike Zilber had a rehearsal and to play his original music with a band called the Heretics, and it was at Fred's apartment, and Fred was going to play piano, so that's where I met him.
Oh, okay.
And then I don't know, he just called me to do a trio hit once, like in Hoboken in some club, and then I moved back to Baltimore and whatever, but then I was there for another 5 years. I came back to New York in '92, and then I don't know, we just took up a playing relationship. He just started hiring me for his trio dates with Tom. And,
with Tom, yeah. Like Dancing in the Dark, you guys did. That's so beautiful. Yeah,
I gotta go back and listen to this. That's like another lifetime, man. That's so long.
That's what I said before. It's like 1993, I think, and it's that's 27 years. That's,
I know, man, and it just feels like wow, and yet it doesn't feel that long ago. And
exactly,
but it is.
Yeah. It is, but it doesn't feel. Yeah, for me also. That's.
Yeah, no. Once we get to a certain age, man, it's like, because you're still feeling good, I guess. I don't know, so it's hard to gauge. I don't have children, so that's more of a yardstick, I think, if you have them. It's like,
I guess, yeah.
Maybe that's why people have children. I don't know.
Probably.
Keep track of time.
But like, beside playing with Fred, like, what did Tim Berne mean for you, like musically? Like, the like all those paraphrased records and all that you did, guys, for I mean, that's for me, that's awesome. That's like improv at the highest level. Like, how did you actually meet Tim and the story with Tim Berne?
I think I first met Tim. Phil Haynes put together like a big band.
Ah, really?
He lived like in a storefront apartment called the Corner Store, and because it had some room to it, also became the rehearsal place for the music he was involved in or whatever he wanted to put together. So he wanted to create this Corner Store big band, stock it with his favorite cats, and just play a wild kind of big band. Like, I wouldn't call it like the Julius Hemphill type of approach,
Okay.
but like if you've heard his big band music, man, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
There's a thing with Bill Frisell playing on it as well. It's just crazy good.
He was,
But it's kind of like that kind of vibe, I guess. And so, but Tim was part of that. What was it? Don Byron was in that band. I think.
Oh, wow.
Dave Taylor. Who else? Frank Lacey, I think.
Really? Oh.
Smoker and Herb Robertson, and
wow, Jesus, man.
all the Brooklyn. I mean, it was a freaking great band. And
there's a record of this also? No.
Did we do? I don't think we did a record. No, but maybe Ray Anderson too. I don't know. But there is a video. We did a festival gig in Leverkusen, I think.
Oh wow! I have to check this out.
I
mean, the band sounds awesome.
And there's a really good video of it somewhere. I don't know if you can get it online or not.
I'll check it out. Yeah,
on YouTube. I might look myself actually, but man, that was some wild stuff. I don't know if we did a record or not. You think I would remember that, but anyway, I met Tim there, and I met Don there also. So it was kind of an important place for me, Tim, we just started hanging out. He's such a great cat and friendly cat too. So, he just kind of started talking and about sound and just started playing. I think he was coming up in the summertime. Like I think his sister rented a house on the lake, kind of near upstate, just to get out of the city. And and so he was nearby. So I don't know. We just started playing. I was living in Garrison, which is like 20 minutes away, and started inviting Tom up. He'd come for a swim over there, and then he'd come over and play a session in Garrison. And I don't know, I think we did Magic Mushrooms or something. And just kind of digging what we were doing, so we started taping it, and we were just having a lot of fun playing free, but kind of bringing a sense of structure to freedom. It's kind of the challenge of the band, and we just really enjoyed doing it so much that we just kept doing it. And then when Tim gets excited about something, he makes it happen and gets a tour going, and then we find a way to document it, the live gigs, and then make them into records, because we're Screw Gun and all. And so Tim made that stuff happen, but it was so much fun and so such a like psychotherapy session for yourself too. Like everybody else is totally cool with you, but everybody would just beat themselves up at a certain point. I remember man, after one gig, and it was always pretty good, I think objectively it was pretty good, but we were all brutal on ourselves. And one time I think we had a rough set, and Tim just looked back, he goes, "Somebody open a window." He said it's just like, either to throw himself out or to, because
Jesus.
It's like, woo. But anyway, but it was tremendous fun, man. And I think I really learned a lot about improvising, like trying to wring every last ounce of whatever idea you have. Because we would play these things for like 25 and 30 minutes, and
exactly. You
realize you may not have. That's a long time to fill with thousands of ideas. So maybe I'd take one and just try and milk it for as long as possible, and then move. And then you really get good at kind of conserving ideas and getting mileage out of them, and so that was the fun. And then just overlaying. And everybody was so cool and so down with whatever would happen that there was never any vibe amongst us, which, as far as like, not digging what someone else was doing, it's like there wasn't time for that anyway, man. It's like
it's an incredible trio, man, because it's like it's funny because you play with Tom, and then at the same time you played with Fred Hersch, with Tom. And it's completely different vibe, the same rhythm section, but like with Berne, it's just like, And I mean, you're still doing it with Fred, but like in a more subtle way, you know.
Yeah, but that's the fun of that too. I think.
Yeah.
Tom would say I'll bet he would say that he would enjoy both just as much because it's like the mindset doesn't change. It's just the externals change, but it's kind of fun to, you know, I don't know. You can't just scream it, but you can communicate with winks, like kind of like, so with Fred's thing, it's going to be more subtle because we're in a different world, milieu. But Fred is just as adventurous too, but he's living in this world. So he's going for the same thing we're going for. It's just a more controlled atmosphere, you know.
Yeah. No, I love
it's like furniture that has to be functional or functional art.
No, it makes sense.
That's the challenge of it. Can it be hip and functional at the same time, you know?
It's like Abercrombie's band, the same kind of, you know, like that's like,
we're just trying to make something new and cool, basically.
Yeah. No, and it's so funny, you know, because you and Tom, like, you have like this telepathic thing going on, like at least how I feel it. Yeah, I don't know, like it's you know, I remember when we played also, and I had like this long compositions, and you just guys just flew through that, like, you know, it was some heavy stuff, and it was like damn it, I'm lost, like, you know what's happening. And he's like, like, I love that, you know, about you guys, because it's just like a train that goes, and it's amazing, like, you know, so cool.
Well, I mean, Tom has such rhythmic vitality. I mean, we pretty much agree on where it is, you know. I think that's just, I mean, I think he has that kind of relationship with lots of players, but because he's great, but you know, I think we just listened to a lot of the same music as younger cats before we even met each other. So that kind of, sometimes you have hookups with people like that where I love that band and I love that band. And they're not the common bands, they're just like some idiosyncratic thing. So something gets baked into your synapses where you just agree immediately, and then you get on to just making something cool with it. You know, I mean, it's inexplicable.
Really, it's just fascinating. It's just like,
but it was always kind of there,
Yeah, but speaking of drummers, Drew, I just like to ask you about your relationship with John Holland. Like, you know, like I played with John quite some, and you know, he's such a unique composer and player also. But Claudia is, like, for me, like, you know, one of the most interesting groups sonic-wise and composition-wise. And I just wanted to ask you, how did you meet John? Like, where does your story go, actually?
I met John, I was living up in Garrison. It's a little house in the countryside. But we had good space to play, especially if it was summertime, because there's a pool there and everything. And so I was playing with Ben still quite a lot at that time, Ben Monder. And so
and they were roommates.
We went to play some trio.
They were roommates, Ben and John, right? Also.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Ben was living in Queens at the time, I think. I think we were in Queens. Yeah. Yeah. Right. They were exactly. So John was his roommate, and he came up. We played a trio session at my place, and I think we played frisbee also. Whatever. But it felt great, man. I mean, John felt like Jack DeJohnette to me. You know, like what we were doing, and something about the way he plays the ride cymbal I just really dig. And so we hit it off that way. And I don't know. I think we might have done some gigs with Ben, maybe not. I'm not sure if it was a rehearsal or we just were playing. And so then I guess John had always had the idea for this band. And I think he had already started Claudia with Ruben Radding, maybe. Or,
exactly.
Or they were playing trio, maybe.
Pre-version, yeah.
Ted, Ruben, and John were playing trio.
Yeah.
And so I think Ruben was moving or was giving up playing or something. But
I think John told me he gave up playing then. Yeah.
Yeah, and so maybe that's when John asked me if I wanted to make a rehearsal with those guys. So he was getting together with Matt Moran and Ted, and I guess Chris was there too. Just to play. I guess he had some compositions and he wanted to see how it worked. And I don't know, but I don't know if I was in there at the beginning or not, frankly. But John would know. But yeah, I just dug his compositions, and I just wanted to be part of something cool. And I love John's seriousness, and And I thought he was just really doing some interesting, important things. And I love being. Sometimes you just love being in a band, just to play someone's vision. Although it includes us too. But I just dig that it's its own world already baked, and you just can kind of get in there and manipulate it. However, and I'm happy functioning in a more compositional sense too. Yeah, and he always brings it. I mean, it's super energy all the time, you know.
Yeah.
It's just who he is. He's focused, you know, and plays great like every time. So it's just, but that's where all the best play. They just play it like they hear it. It's not about technique anyway.
Yeah. No, it's amazing because, you know, it's still like a working band, like for almost 15, 20 years, I guess, you know, that's rare nowadays, you know, I love that.
His vision is so broad. I think nobody gets tired of playing the music because it's so diverse, you know.
Yeah.
And it's changed over time quite a bit too. And everybody, every player wants to be part of something that's that
grand.
And you kind of, and it's its own organism after a while too. You know?
Yeah.
It's like a part of a machine, and it's like a human machine that.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Yeah.
It's cool, and you really become like a unified mind of how you hear timbre, especially with that band. Because
with that band, definitely, yeah.
Everybody's a master, really, at those guys are anyway, of shaping the sound of their own instruments. Like Chris is amazing sonically, and Matt and Red Varinga as well as.
Yeah, you all are incredible.
He's a deep cat because he works with modular synths and builds his own synths as well, and so he's timbrely focused too. So and John's got the widest palette, so
he's incredible. I love John.
It enables me to just have one sound.
No, come on.
No, I can't hold a candle to those guys at all in that way.
Yeah, but you're the glue that holds it together. So.
Well, whatever. But it's just because nobody wants. There's enough already. You got it covered. That's not why I'm there.
No, but Drew, just one last question I want to ask you. You know, I have you on so many records, and you've done so much diverse work. And you know, we speak about, I don't know, Fred Hersch and standards, and Tim Berne and improvised, your own stuff, and then there's this stuff you started doing with Steve Lehman since Artificial Light, and you know those Travail transformation records and all that, which when I first heard it was for me. You know, I didn't see the sheet music, so I started writing down at least try to get an idea of a lead sheet. And I just wanted to ask you, like, how was that experience, like getting that music for you? Because it was something fresh, a risk. And how did you start playing with Steve, actually? Who's also, like, you know, an incredible mind. Like.
Oh, yeah, Steve is amazing. Well, he called me to play, I think, because I don't think we really knew many of the same people. I'm trying to think. I think it was Chris Dingman and maybe Eric McPherson. Is he on the Artificial?
Yeah, Eric McPherson is on that one. Yeah, Artificial. Yeah.
And Mark Shim, maybe. Oh, that might have been the connection.
Yeah, Mark Shim is not on that record, I think.
No. Okay. Well.
No.
But I think that might have been where Steve found out about me. I think he had become friends with Mark Shim in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Although I think Steve was at Columbia, so maybe he was in Manhattan. Anyway, I think they were hanging or whatever, and Mark I had played on a Blue Note record with Mark, and like.
Yeah, Turbulent Flow, and yeah.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, maybe Steve had that record and he liked what I was doing. I don't know, but he called me to do. I don't know if it was a record date or just some rehearsing, and you know. I said, sure. And I thought his music was really cool, and it presented a new challenge for me, like rhythmically, especially, you know. So I always say yes to something that's cool if I have the time to do it. And, you know, I love doing it. I think we made a few records together in smaller settings. And then he had the idea for that octet, which was him upping the ante, kind of like, you know, okay.
That's incredible.
You've passed your introductory courses, and now it's time for the main course, you know. And so that meant I went with Taishan is pretty challenging, you know, to just. So it was an opportunity for me to just try and be rock solid and be,
Yeah.
and also try and make it feel loose, even though, because the rhythmically thing, you can overdo it with the precision thing, or I don't know, but just have it make it feel as good as possible. It was as less, cerebral, I guess, is the.
Yeah, no, because
Steve is totally funky cat also, so he wants the blood in it, and that's what I dig about it too. Like you always had that kind of go for the jugular kind of mentality, but with all the the math as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Great.
So
amazing.
Yeah, but just trying to hang on for dear life.
Yeah, that's what I would do when I hear Taishan playing, and I'm like, damn, man, how can you continue doing like and he's like
It's
playing.
fun. But what he does is it's tethered to the thing. I mean, I hear the logic, even though it's incredibly daredevil.
Yeah, it is. It's there, but it's
But it makes it so much fun to just be able to hold it down. Like I'm sure you've seen that video, like Chris Dave with Foley, the bassist. Do you know any of those little videos online?
I have to check it out.
It's the trio thing. I think it might be from the London Jazz Festival. Chris Dave trio with a German saxophonist whom I don't remember his name, but they're doing like bird tunes. Check it out.
Really?
He just vamps through this higher thing, and Chris Dave goes wild over top of it rhythmically. So
okay, I'll check it out.
Check it out. But it kind of became that sort of thing where the Montuna or the mantra you're playing it literally becomes a physical thing. So that's what I kind of wanted to get to with Steve's music, is just make it physical.
Yeah.
And so it was a really great challenge. And Taishan, as advanced as it is, it's rooted. He knows exactly where it is.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely.
So it's fun. It's like a mutual trust challenge kind of thing.
Beautiful stuff. Cool.
Yeah, so that's fun. Yeah, challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
cool, Drew. Thanks so much for sharing all these stories.
Yes, Alan. Thanks, man. It's my pleasure.
Appreciate it. You've done.
Dr. Jazz.